Hello class, this is a this is yet another tutorial about text. The last one we did was on text color, text background. We looked at stuff like text aligning, justification, vertical alignment, and so today we are going to look at other topics under text. Topics like text decoration, text transformation, text indentations. We look at letter spacing, word spacing. We look at several other things, what white space means, wrapping. We had looked at line height shortly, but around here we used line height for this specific thing. So that's what we are going to look at today. We are going to be using the same page here, so we can now quickly look at text decoration. Now, by text decoration, we are majorly focusing on links. That's where we apply text decoration, or remove text decoration. We can also deal with it under lists, but that is called a different name. We can use list style. We use either none, or we change how they look like. We can as well use the pseudo element called before or after to really look at how we can change those breaks. But for this specific thing, we are going to use links, and by default we can just pick, I'm interested in this, can put it down here and add on this page. We say HRBR, we can change what is inside here. We call this text decoration. That is called text decoration. We are going to look at two ways of text decoration. It has several other parameters. We can call this text decoration 1. So let's have a class, maybe a class like we can say dot decoration, and we say maybe this could be http www.skycodes.com. You can even add the target attribute here that will open this, but all this is unnecessary for what we are trying to achieve. You can call this sky code. So when we come to our page here and refresh, we are expected to have it down here after it has finished loading, and scroll down. This is what we see, our link with an underline. So what do? We can copy this as a class, and I don't encourage simply selecting it as a, because there are several links that will be on your page. So you always put them under a class, such that you can be specific in your selections. So we are going to do dot decoration. Inside the decoration, select an A, which is for a link, and we are going to say text decoration none. So when we refresh our page, we find that there is no underline. The decoration was an underline. So for now, there is no decoration. but we could as well have said maybe text decoration should be dark blue. When we refresh our page, it is still picking that the text decoration should be none. We are going to change this to none. We can come back here and create another type of decoration. This could also be H3, and we say text decoration, text decoration 2. So for that particular case, we can say maybe let's put them in a class also. We call this decoration 2. So here we have an H1 that says you can say maybe there is an overline. There is an overline. We can also have maybe an H2 here that says this is an underline. Then we can have an H3 that says this is a line through. So when we come to our class here, we can pick our class. We go to CSS to design these two. Before we do anything, I can refresh here for you to see how these are. We're having an effect on H3 because we've already dedicated that. We can call this H4. Already dedicated H3 to be for our subtopics on this page. So there is an overline, there is an underline, there is a line through. Currently there is nothing you are seeing because I have not yet designed anything on this. So you head over to CSS. Text decoration 2 is our class, and we are saying that if this is text decoration, text decoration 2 is our class, we can now say that if you go to text decoration 2 as a class, go to H1. What do we need? Text decoration. It was for an overline. You can see text decoration overline. For H2 it was an underline. So that is how you can put underline or overline on your work. You can also cut through. This was H4, text decoration line. So these are some of the properties and property values of text decoration. So now when we refresh, we can see there is an overline, there is an underline, there is a line through. So with all these functions, you can put an overline here and at the same time put an underline here if that is what you want. Instead of using the HR that goes across the line, you can limit this to where you want it to be. So if you wanted the heading that is not a link but underlined, then it would be done through text decoration and selecting underline. So this part of text decoration where we are saying text decoration none, it is very important because sometimes or oftentimes you will not want links that have underlines. When you look at our main document, the links do not have underlines, and that is how it is expected to be. You see, they do not have underlines because underlining looks really bad on those links. The next topic we can look at here is text transformation, and under text transformation we are looking at whether the characters or the sentence or whichever text you are working on could be capital or lowercase or uppercase. So this text could be uppercase, it could be changed to lowercase. If you are dealing with stories and you want certain headings to be uppercase later, you don't have to go back to the whole story to do the same thing, as long as these were having specific selectors. For example, H3, like we have defined it here, that whenever you do an H3, it will pick whatever we have told it to pick way before we started designing up to this far. So the same thing you can do with the text transformation. You could have said that at first the headings were maybe capitalized, but now you realize the headings should now be uppercase. So if the headings we are taking, or if all headings had the same tag, then you simply call out that tag, and wherever it is, it will be worked upon by those properties you specify. So let us look at text transformation, and we have uppercase, lowercase, and capitalize. We can come here and say HR BR for break line, then we say H3, and we call this text transformation or text transform. Let's see whether it fits with our properties. Okay, so we can say that dot transform as our class name. Like I've said, always put them in a class that is a div tag, because it will help you style them better or differently, or you will be able to style that particular element alone, since there are many H1s on the page, paragraphs on the page, headings on the page, links, images. So once you put them under a specific class, then you can call out that class, and inside that class call out that particular element and style it the way you want. So keep that in mind. That is why we are putting them under this particular class. So we can say H1, and we type and say I was in small letters. Then we look at maybe H2 and say I was in capital letters. Then we look at H4 and say, and then we can say the first letter is capitalized. The first letter after a space is capitalized. So when we refresh, it is going to take up several forms. Here, there, I was in small letters, I was in capital letters. The letter after a space is capitalized. Now we can head over to CSS and look at the text transformation, how it is applied. We can pick this class here. We go to CSS and we say H1. Now our H1 was the small letters, so we need to put it in uppercase. We can say text dash transform. You see it here. We change this to uppercase. Then we can now say H2, which was small, which was already in uppercase. We can change it to lowercase. Then we have H4, which we want to capitalize. Then we see the meaning of capitalize. When we refresh our page, we can see now them changing. Or if you are not sure, we can first comment this out, control / after highlighting would comment all these together at once. So when I refresh my page, you can see this is in small letters, it should change to all capital. This is all capital, it should change to lowercase or small letters. This we should expect these first letters to be capitalized, or the only ones that are in capital letter. So when we refresh our page, you can see this is not capitalized, this is changed to lowercase, and this we are saying the letter after a space is capitalized. So you can see T is capitalized, L, A, S, I, C. Those letters that are after a space, all of them are capitalized. So that is how you can deal with text transformation. It is also an element very visible in Microsoft Word. Most of the things we are doing here in text are also achieved in Microsoft Word. So it would be good for you to realize that most of the things you do in Microsoft Word, and at the end, you will realize at the end of this course, you will realize that literally or virtually anything doable in Microsoft Office can be done under HTML and CSS. Quite many things we are going to look at, and you will be amazed as a person on how far you have come. So let's look at another thing we call text indentation. Text indentation would majorly be looking at the space left on the left hand side of the first character of, for example, a paragraph. So when you realize, when you look at these, they are exactly starting at the endmost of the page, or the starting of the page. But what if you wanted to push this word, for example, inside the page a little bit? What do? There are quite many options. You could use margins, you could use padding, but now we are simply going to look at text indentation. The one way of forcing a paragraph, for example, would be by using text indentation. So we can come to our HTML here. We say HR, BR, then we have H3 that says text indent. You can leave it at that. Then we have a class called indent, and then we can put in our H1 here, and we say notice the space between the left margin and letter N. So we pick this same class here, we go to text, here to our CSS file, we say dot the class and pick the H1 inside that class. We do this often because we simply want to affect a particular element. Otherwise, we would simply say indent, meaning everything in that class should be given a certain indentation of whatever we have described or defined. But it is important to note that you might have a div or a class that has several things, very many paragraphs, very many headings, very many other items inside there, but you are simply interested in a certain section. You could also use a section tag, that one can also work, and then select that particular section, So there are quite a number of ways, like we have seen in selectors. We spent quite a number of tutorials under selectors because they are everyday life. You use them every now and then, and they won't change more often. So how do we indent? We can set text indent. You see it down there as a property. What number of pixels? Maybe 60 pixels. By default, I don't have to define from which side to which side, because by default our text is always dropped at the left hand side. When we refresh our page, you will see that our text is always starting from the very first, the left hand side to the right hand side. So I don't have to worry that the text indentation should be from what direction. No, it is going to always pick it from the left, because by default that's where our text starts from. So when we refresh, you can see here where we are. When we refresh, we can see the space of 60 pixels, and our word is pushed to the right by those number of pixels we have defined. So if we had a paragraph in here, the paragraph would not be affected at all. Why? Because it is not picked, it is not selected. We can maybe call a paragraph here and paste this thing here. When we refresh our page, we shall have our paragraph there, you see. So if this was maybe, say, a heading or something like you wanted to create a paragraph, like how you would format it in Microsoft Office, then this would be the same thing. Now if we removed this H1 and then refreshed our page, you can see it also being pushed inside. That's why I said that you could have a class that contains many other tags, but you are interested in a certain specific tag. For example, here to pick a paragraph, you would also look at the other types of selectors we were using, where we would say like H2 plus, maybe now we would select this by saying H1 plus paragraph. You know, we go to that class, inside that class pick H1 plus paragraph. What would that do? The adjacent sibling, what would it do? It would simply select the paragraph like this. Then we do the text indent. So the selectors section was very crucial and is still very crucial on how you want to work around these things. Sometimes you'll see several other designers using, maybe they come to HTML here and put the word span. We use a span tag here before the paragraph, such that at one point we can refer to it. You could use section, such that at one point you refer to that particular section, since it is inside that particular class. There is no any other class name you would put as this, otherwise you would have problems or a mixture of commands. So that is text indentation and its purpose. Like I'm saying, there are quite a numerous number of ways to administer these things. So the next we are going to look at is letter spacing, word spacing, and we shall look at white space. We shall have finished the first part of text. Then we can look at other things, maybe like web fonts. We look at other things like the fonts. We look at quite a number of things, how to add icons, how to add alignment, quite a number of things that are surely a sweet interest to us. You are also advised, in case you do not understand some of these things, or you feel like there is more, probably a question pops up in your mind, please feel free to go online and read more about a particular topic. Okay? My God.